Welcome to another episode of the Grown and Greek podcast. I'm so happy to be joined tonight by an old friend. But before we jump into it, I want to make sure that you guys subscribe to the podcast. Of course, we're on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure you watch full episodes on YouTube. And you can follow us on social media at Grown and Greek Podcast on all platforms. And if you know someone of the Divine Nine who's doing the doggone thing, make sure you hit me up and tell me about them in my DM on IG at Grown and Greek Podcast. So now, let me introduce to the episode's guest. He is an actor. He's a member of Omega Sci-Fi, as you can see. He's an HBCU graduate of Alabama State University. You may have seen him on TV. Yes, on the series Archive 81 on Netflix, NCIS Hawaii, Manifest, HBO's The Night Of, and now a member of the Marvel Universe in Daredevil, Born Again. He is also known as Charlie 3 Stacks. You can ask him about that. Please welcome to the Grown and Greek podcast, Mr. Actor extraordinaire, Charlie Hudson III. What's up?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me. I'm so happy to see your face, to get a little bit of your time, because you'd be humping up there in the NYC. Is that where you are now? You still in NYC?
Yeah, NYC, okay. New Jersey area, yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to the Gump. Montgomery, Alabama. It's your birthplace. It's your launching pad, and you were a theater major at Alabama State University. So we'll talk about, how you got started and how you've blossomed since then. Talk about you being a drum major for the Marching Hornets.
Yeah.
And of course, you getting your dive into Greek life as a member of Omega Sci-Fi. See, I know this whole backstory, and it's just amazing to go back to that time. But so let's start there. Why HBCU? Why Alabama State? Why'd you stay home?
Honestly, I didn't want to stay home initially.
Okay.
To be honest.
Okay.
Basically, my whole family went to Alabama State in some shape, form, or fashion. My mom honestly had her whole education at Alabama State from Alabama State Laboratory High School and all the way through. So I always knew about Alabama State. I don't think I ever missed an actual Alabama State football game until I graduated myself. So that had a huge influence on it. We had season tickets to all the football games set right at the 50. I got in the band because I loved Alabama State's band. I used to be in the stands as a little kid, imitating the drum majors and stuff. But honestly, yeah, I didn't want to go to Alabama State because I had been there my entire life, even summer theater camps and everything, band camp. So I was like, no, I want to get away from home without throwing anybody under the bus. In high school, when you send your applications off to different schools and stuff, I literally applied to like 15, 20 different schools.
Oh, wow.
Thank God I got into all of them. There was something wrong with my transcript being sent to said universities. So I didn't find out until like the last minute with all of them, like, hey, we don't have your transcript. The scholarships that we want to give you, we can't give you until we get the official transcript. And honestly, this is the funny thing. I never actually applied to Alabama State. My actual application is still, you know how you have those senior books when you graduate in high school, you put all
like a memory book, memory books. Yeah.
My application is still in there. Have no idea who applied for me, but I just got in the mail that, oh, you've been accepted and you have a scholarship. And the schools that I wanted to go to, most of them were HBCUs. They replied that I had gotten in, but I hadn't, gotten my scholarship because my transcripts weren't sent in. So I was like, well, I guess I'll go to Alabama State for a little bit. And honestly, it turned out to be the best thing. I didn't stay at home. I did live on the campus which did feel like I was out of it felt like two totally different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I went back to wash my clothes and rate the refrigerator and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's how I got to Alabama State as a student. Um, what was the
Oh, well, let's stop there, and then I can backtrack and ask you again.
okay?
So, with you having that experience, and you going to a HBCU, and you said that most of the schools that you applied to were HBCUs. Like, talk about that importance. Like, did you ever consider like undergrad and stuff going to a PWI, or was an HBCU just what you wanted to do and what you knew you were going to do? Like, because obviously Greek life started most of us on HBCU campuses, so there's nothing like the HBCU experience,
Yeah.
and the roots and stuff that we can nurture when we're there. Can you talk about why you wanted to be an HBCU graduate?
Honestly, I think I only applied to 3 PWIs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Alabama and Auburn. I hate Alabama, so I wasn't going to actually go there. I just applied just because
Mm-hmm.
I am an Auburn fan. And Princeton. Thank God I got into all of them. But it was one of those things of like the Princeton one was just to see if I could get into it, and I got in, and I can't remember. I did get a scholarship of some sort, but I can't really remember what it was. Um, but for me, I was blessed that, or fortunate, I don't know how you would call it, but I didn't have a white classmate my entire
Mm.
education up until Alabama State. So the only thing I knew was just all
Mm.
black. I went to Bethany Seventh-day Adventist, I think from first to second grade. Third grade was St. John Resurrection. So from third grade to seventh grade, all of these are all black, and then went to St. Jude, the all black Catholic high school. So I was just thoroughly immersed in just all black culture, all black everything. Um, and even like I said, going to those HBCU football games and everything that they had on Alabama State campus, I just naturally assumed that that was just the next step was to go to a HBCU. So basically, all of the SWAC schools at the time I applied to, um, I think like Howard, maybe Hampton or something like that. But yeah, it was because I had known nothing but
Mm.
black teachers, black classmates. To me, it was just the next logical step. And I always thought, I was like, well, if I go ahead and do HBCU first, then for grad school, thank God, like I did, I could go to a PWI and
Mm-hmm.
then have, I guess, the best of both worlds or an experience in both spheres. But yeah, I knew I wanted to go to a HBCU. I can't righteously put into
I got
specific language, but like my high school, I talked to a lot of people, and they're like, oh, I hated high school. I'm like, I didn't. I had a ball in high school. It was just us, you know?
you.
Um,
And that's important because it shaped your identity.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So then when it was time to go to college, I was like, I want that same experience, but on a bigger level. So yeah, I knew I wanted to go to
Mm-hmm.
HBCU.
And you took the non-traditional route, and what I mean by that is you were a theater major. So, like a theater major. That's like, me coming from a small town, and I wanted to, go into broadcasting and media and stuff. They like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be no teacher? You don't want to be a doctor, a lawyer? Like, what you talking about? And thank God it was meant to be, and it was supposed to be, you know what I mean? So I guess you knew. But yeah, why theater? And what was that like? And talk about your training, of course, from there.
So mine was funny, I would say. When I was little, I used to always run up to the TV and point to like the girls I liked on TV and be like, "That's my girlfriend. That's my girlfriend." So on the Cosby Show, I had the biggest crush on Rudy. anytime she would come on, I'd be like, "That's my girlfriend. That's my girlfriend." So one day, my parents was explained to me like, "Okay, that's technically not a real family. This is a TV show." And I was like, "I could do that." They were like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "No, I could do that. I could do that." I'm like, "All right, cool." Uh, so they first put me in a talent show with was it the Daughters of Isis? Forget the Shaban Temple in Montgomery, and I was 5. My cousin probably gonna kill me for this. She was in it as well, and she's my big sister. I call her my sister cousin, and we're 10 years apart. And she did a majorette routine, and I thank God for this. I have a really good memory, even back then. And I
Mm.
remember like a 3-page poem. And I went up on stage and said the poem and ended up winning. And honestly, in my mind, I've been talking about this recently. I think those applause like woke something up in little Charlie. And it was like, oh no, this is what I want to do. This is exactly what I want to do. And after that, my whole family was there to see me and my cousin. Um, and my aunt just so happened to go to church with Dr. Stewart. And
Mm.
I want to say that was Dr. Stewart, who's was at the time the director at Alabama State's theater department. And I want to say, if I remember correctly, that was her first year uh,
Oh, wow,
at
Charlie.
Alabama State.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And my aunt went to her and was like, "Hey, my nephew is wants to be in the theater." And they had just started. She was just starting the TAPS program,
Mm.
which means Theater Artist Performance School, and that's from ages 6 to 13, if I remember correctly. Um, so my aunt picked me up from school one day, was like, "Hey, we're gonna take you up to the theater to meet Dr. Stewart." And we met in her office, and I do remember her saying, "Oh, you're such a mannerable little young man." She said, "You want to be an actor?" I was like, "Yeah." And I said the poem to her, and everybody in the room was looking around like, "Who is this little kid?" And she let me join the program that year. So that was my first time, like getting training.
Hmm.
Was at TAPS at Alabama State. So that same theater that I graduated from, that same stage. So every year after that, I was in the summer camp. And then I was was blessed and fortunate enough to be in some of the shows that the college kids were doing as a little kid. Like my first production was of Gospel at Colonus.
Mm.
I got to have one line, stood up in the audience and said the line. So it was just like every year, something on top of it, just getting training and training. Um, and then once I hit 13, I start teaching at the little camp, the TAPS camp, and then I start going to the 3T camp, teaching through theater. So that's the one where you get to stay on Alabama State's campus for a week and learn all the theater technical stuff and do a show at the end. So I'd been doing that from like 5 or 6 years old all the way until I got to Alabama
Oh,
State.
wow.
Yeah, so it's like I just knew that performing the arts something that was in me from a young age, and I just wanted to do it. And it was like every time I would learn something slightly different or slightly new, I was like, okay, I want to learn something more. I want to learn something more. Um, so when I actually enrolled at Alabama State, my dream was to be a lawyer and an actor. So
Okay.
I ended up double majoring,
Mhm.
and I think I double majored for the entire first semester. And my guidance counselor was like, you don't have to major in political science or pre-law to go to law school. I was like, man, put that as my minor. Let me go and do this theater thing. So that's how it just strictly became just a
Okay.
theater major. Yeah,
So,
but
so let's talk about this. You started as a kid,
mhm,
and that is especially with the arts, you have to cultivate that. You
yeah,
have to nurture not only that desire, but you have to nurture the talent.
hmm
So, with things happening and the potential of things like funding being affected, on the federal level down to the state level. in the art, the support of the arts being, something that we really have to be intentional about. What do what advice, I guess, can you give to parents and teachers and the community as a whole to encourage that, involvement and to keep kids active and, focus on creative ways to, continue to nurture those talents?
Honestly, everything artistic can be done at home,
Okay.
for the most part, when it comes to like reading different stories,
Cool.
put it on as little kids. Let your kids put on little shows in the house. Tell them, oh, we just watched a movie, a cartoon movie or something. Write a little script or something in your own words, or go up there and perform it for the family or something like that. So little things at home you can do like that. But community wise, I do think, and it does take more time, more effort to take the kids in the community and say, hey, we're going to put on a little production at the church or at the community center with bare bones sometimes. And sometimes, honestly, I do think that was a benefit about going to a HBCU because we didn't have all the funds that the bigger universities have. I didn't find out until, honestly, I got to grad school that some of my other classmates that went to PWIs and that were white, their undergrad theater departments were doing like 10 shows and had every kind of light you can think of. And it was like, oh no, we probably did 2 shows a year and repeated those shows because we didn't have all the funding. And sometimes the sets weren't the best or the costumes were like donated and things like that. So because of that, the artistic life of a person or of a community, I don't think should be hindered just because of funding.
Mm-hmm.
We can still continue. Like I started writing during the strike. Well, let me not say started during the strike. I started before that, but I went back to it. So it's like anytime something can be, or seemingly that something can be taken away from you, there's still outlets that you can still do. The biggest one I do think is reading different plays, reading different scripts, and then being able to talk about art. We can go see a movie, and like with my goddaughter and my godson, they're so smart. Like we'll go see a movie or something, and not only will they be like, "Oh, I liked it," but they can talk specifically about the
Mm-hmm.
different things they liked about it. That is an artistic um, talent to be able to like talk about. Well, I didn't like the through line that they had on it, or the red herrings, or this that, and the other. So there's still ways to be artistic without just waiting on funding and having funding to be the main thing.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. So you went to grad school, went undergrad, went to grad school, and got your MFA, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that you just up and leave and you go to LA, or you trek over to Atlanta, and or you go to Chicago or whatever, and do the theater route or whatever. You went to grad school. Why? And how would you encourage others to, because for me, what I think is, with theater specifically, and you having those chops, that's important, to get that training. But why did you choose that? Why didn't you springboard to like LA or somewhere?
For several different reasons. Okay, I'm gonna try to go from small to bigger.
Okay.
For me personally, I knew that the training that I had my whole life was good, but I knew that there were small little technical things that I wanted to add to my toolkit, if you will. Back then when I left, like you could probably still hear, I do have a Southern accent ish.
No, you don't. No, you don't, Charlie. No, you do not. No, you do not. You do not.
But back
That's a
then,
thing, though. That's a thing. Yeah.
that is a huge thing. But back then, I know that I could hear my accent back then, and that was one of the things I wanted to learn how to be able to speak without it, and to speak with it when necessary for a role. And I wanted to learn how to do other accents and the technical work of learning Shakespeare correctly,
Mm.
learning how to do other, but Shakespeare, Ibsen, Moliere, all those different playwrights, and then the physical theater part of it, being able to be in your body more, to learn the specificity of performing. So you could do a show 8 times a week and give the same strong performance without, yeah, the first performances of the week are great, and then you just fall off or you lose your voice and
Mhm.
all those different things. I wanted to learn all of that. Um, Secondly, yes, a lot of people do think, hey, just going out to, like you said, the different big hubs, entertainment hubs, and start working. I, in my mind, I looked at things kind of logically. I'm like, every state in the U.S. has a Shakespeare theater. Alabama Shakespeare Festival, New Jersey Shakespeare. Everybody has a Shakespeare festival. So that's at least, if they do one show, one Shakespearean show, that's 50 shows.
Mm.
So if I don't know how to do Shakespeare, I'm at least cutting myself out of 100 shows minimum a year that I could be qualified for it, but I don't know how to do it if I didn't get that training for it. And then looking at, honestly, Alabama Shakespeare Festival's season, I want to say maybe like our junior year or something, and they had like 3 or 4 Shakespeare productions. I'm like, they're doing 3 or 4. It's 50 states. They got 3. Oh, that's a ton of work that I could be doing that I won't be able to do because I don't know the technical aspects of it. So that was those reasons were like the bigger, the personal ones. Um, And then I would say professionally, well, I guess you can say both of those are professional. Um, Looking at getting representation and things like that, I've always looked at school, no matter if it's high school, undergrad, grad school, not only as a place to learn, but as a place to make different connections.
Mm.
Um, because you graduated from Alabama State, so everybody in the Alabama State community knows that, oh, you at least graduated, you're a part of our family. And then in a roundabout way, we at least know that you can get to work on time or get to class on time, do those different things.
Mhm.
So the extra grad school portion of it is now you're part of 2 different communities, and those connections that go along with it. And I think now some things have changed a little bit with the social media because now a lot of people could just have 20,000 followers and get representation,
Mhm.
as far as like an agent or a manager. But back then you had to have some kind of training so they can know that, oh, okay, you know what you are doing. So when we send you out, you won't embarrass yourself and you won't embarrass us. you know? So those were the bigger reasons. And yeah.
You drop some gems then, because you wouldn't know about the opportunities, and that's the main thing. You want to, obviously you want to work.
Mhm.
And so going that route opened those doors to you, where it was, you knew that there were opportunities out there. It wasn't like you were fishing into a big pond, I mean a big
And
ocean.
yeah, and too, like let's just say me, pause 1%. I have to take my blood pressure pill. I got blood pressure. Mm-hmm. Dealing in this industry got my blood pressure. No, I'm playing. Uh, y'all can edit.
Yeah, we can edit it.
Um, but okay, time back in. What's I gonna say? So also too, like if you just up and move to a different state, nobody no directors know you, no casting
Mm.
knows you, no agents know you. But coming from a grad program, if the grad program is worth its salt, which majority of them are, they'll have a showcase. So a showcase,
Mm.
you have one in New York, LA. Sometimes you might have one in Chicago or Atlanta. So industry people will literally get to see you perform for the first time if you haven't done, anything major where you can be seen someplace else. So that's another major plus was when we got done in our 3rd year, had a showcase here in New York. Then we went to LA, had a showcase there. So now both coasts, know of you in some capacity.
That's dope. So we're going to talk about your first movie role and then where you are now. But let's go back to the fact that you said that you had a crush on Rudy, on Keisha Knight Pulliam. And you obviously developed a desire to work with some people that you like grew up watching on TV, and some of the rest of us grew up watching on TV. Talk about some of your like oh my God moments in theater. I know some of them, but tell the audience some of the greats that you have acted alongside, maybe some of the highlights in the moments, some of the things that they may have told you, or somebody that said, Charlie, you that man, whatever, talk. and some of the productions. I know you've been in the whole Raisin in the Sun series of plays, and that's on my bucket list, man. I want to do a Raisin in the Sun so bad. so bad. Haven't had a chance to, but hopefully I can tick that off one day. But anyway, yeah. Can you talk about that?
Yes.
And you've been on Broadway, by the way, Broadway, off Broadway. So you are doing the doggone thing.
Thank you. It's a blessing. Yes. The Raisin cycles, Raisin in the Sun, Clybourne Park, and then Beneath This Place.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's right here. Oh, wow. I did it first time. This is it right here. So yeah, a Raisin in the Sun, I've done, I think four times, maybe five. The first time was in high school. I played Walter Lee in high school. Had no idea, honestly, what I was talking about for real. And I will sidebar, that's a beautiful thing I think about plays or scripts in general. Every time you come to it,
mm-hmm.
you might find something different in it. And every single time I've done A Raisin in the Sun, something different has been woken up in me and from the script. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that was in there. But yeah, that was really cool to do that one. I think four times, Clybourne Park and Beneath This Place, and I originated Asagai in Beneath This Place. So yeah, I've been blessed to work with some cool people. I did. Let me see. Can I do it again? This show, yeah, I did it again. Mother Courage in the Park, here in New York, Shakespeare in the Park. That was with Meryl Streep, Kevin Kline, and Jennifer Lewis. They're all great. Raisin in the Sun on Broadway was with Denzel, Nika Noni Rose, Sophie Okonedo, LaTanya Richardson, and Diane Carroll.
Oh man.
Yeah. I've had some really good. Yeah, my first movie was with Angela Bassett and Cicely Tyson. I've been blessed to work with a lot of really, really, really cool people.
What did you learn? Like, what did you learn? What did you take from it? What do you use today that you learned from those times? And why is that important? And to continue to get better as an actor.
Honestly, keeping the work the main thing. Yes, we know whenever we get to set or to rehearsal, majority of the time your castmates have become friends, close friends sometimes. But keeping the work the main thing, and to try different things that may or may not work. If they do, great. We keep it. We keep moving on. If not, all right, it was something to throw up against the wall, see if it stuck. And to be gracious to everybody. That's one of the biggest ones. Every single one of the people that I named were just great people, great people to work with. The coolest thing was the first rehearsal that I was in with Denzel. I introduced myself to him, and he pulled out this sheet of paper and just set it in front of me. And it was a little page from a devotional, and I was reading it, and the whole premise was you are where you're supposed to be. I was like, wow, hey man,
Mm.
did that, and gave it back to him. He said, yeah, my man Charlie. And then it kept going. I was like, yo, you are where you're supposed to be. And not to take any moment for granted, because this career is definitely a blessing. Every time you get a new job, a new experience, it's a blessing. So those are the biggest things and to give it your all, to give it your
Mm.
all. Don't shy away from something because it might be hard to do, or I don't want to go there because it might unlock something in me. Let it unlock it, especially if it's a healthy thing. Don't do anything detrimental to yourself. But yeah, those are some of the biggest things I've learned. Some of the biggest things I've
Okay.
learned. Yeah.
What technique haven't you perfected yet? Or is that the right way to ask that? Like, yeah, what are you still working? What nuance are you still perfecting?
I
If that's not too intrusive.
I don't know. Uh, I don't know. That's a good question. I can say I don't know. uh, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I think the one thing that I'm always trying to do is one, just live in the moment, knowing that the rehearsal and the time and effort that you put into working up to the actual performance, everything you did is beneficial. Um, so to use it, but and I always hate the saying when they say, "Oh yeah, just forget the work," because it's like you can't forget it, but to integrate it so much into yourself where it is just reacting, action and reaction, as opposed to trying to think everything through. I guess that would be the main thing. Yeah,
Okay. Does acting make you look at the world differently?
that is a great question, and I'm going to say yes.
How so? And how so? And how do we continue to operate? As a regular folk, I guess you could say. How do we operate? Um, in a space and shut off from all of the distractions and stay present, like you have to do when you're acting.
Okay, yes. It does make me look at the world slightly different. Or so my grandmother used to always say that everybody's playing their part.
Mm.
So sometimes people can come across as being selfish, but I've learned over time that their selfish tendencies is in their mind, in their script of their life, they are the star, which all of us should be the star in our own life. But some of us are the star in our life and alienate people or treat people badly, or you know what I mean? So thinking about life in those regards, anytime a person enters my life and I see that they might not be the best person or cool or whatever the case may be, I'm like, oh, I see what role you are playing because you're playing a role in my life. And if I choose to let you really affect me in a negative way, then I might not be the center portion in my life right now. I've given you more agency in my life. Um, so that might be a weird, heady little thing, but that's a small way that I think about certain things. Also, too, sometimes I'm like, oh, life can be literally like a script sometimes,
Hmm.
especially now watching the news with what's life these days.
Hmm.
It's like, is this a comedy? Is is this real? Um, but also, too, people watching. I love to people watch. And with that, you see different quirks and stuff about that people have, and um, those things. Sometimes I definitely like, oh, I'm using that for a character. Or I'm
Yeah.
definitely writing that into something. Um, But yeah, I do think that almost every interaction in life can be a scene, and for the most part, it is a scene. Especially if you just look out the window sometime, or you're sitting on the bench in the mall or something, and you're watching people. You're literally watching different little scenes take place, and how each one adds up to the bigger picture, which is life.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. But yeah, it's amazing, how life does imitate art. Even though that's so cliche, but it does.
It's
And
true.
yeah, and moments you can pull from, and that's probably the coolest thing, about acting and dissecting a script, and figuring out who your character is and stuff. It's like, man, I've had that experience before. Or I can take this piece and, like you said, I'm using that. I can use that. And I know exactly what I'm gonna do, in that moment. So let's shift a little bit and talk about Omega Psi Phi. And, obviously you hold a great mantle at this point, with the accomplishments and things like that you've had in your career. But I know how important, Omega is to you, and just how you carry yourself, and how much in regard that is a at the forefront of your life. Why is it important? And what would you say, to the rest of the D9, in terms of the pride and the mantle that we should carry to and emulate the things that you do.
First, my introduction to it was with my family. My uncle is the bruz, or was the bruz. He passed away. But yeah, so just growing up, I was going to step shows with him, trying to walk in his boots and everything. Um, and now a lot of people in my family are in the D9. My mom's a AKA, my cousins, AKA, my other cousins, the bruz. Got a couple of Kappas in the family. Um, Several things. So one for me, I was like, I know I just wanted to be the bruz before I knew what a fraternity really was. And as I got older, watching my uncle and his fraternity brothers, now my fraternity brothers, I did actually see the brotherhood part of it. So that was the initial baseline thing that I was like, oh, I like that. And I'm an only child. I take friendships very seriously. And seeing the brotherhood, like I said, as a kid growing up, I was like, oh, they are really there for each other. Like the bros, all of them showed up for my cousin's high school graduation, and we
Mm.
have a family picnic or something. The bros are showing up, and grandma like, hey, come on in, and it's like a whole extension of your family. So then when I got to Alabama State and started to do my own research for myself, because even though I knew I wanted to be the bruz, my uncle was like, still, look it up for yourself, make sure. Um, and then started to do my own research on it, and seeing the cardinal principles and the accomplishments that the founders and some of the famous bruz have done over their lives. I'm like, wow, this all of this is added on to just the familiar brotherhood aspect part of it. I was like, oh, I definitely want to be a part of this. Um, so those were some of the biggest things for me. Um, yeah, and then just having that community, knowing that no matter where you go, if you reach out, you have somebody that can be there for you. And it doesn't even just have to be financially. It could just literally be like, hey, I just want to hang out. I just need somebody to talk to for a minute. Or, hey, I'm doing a show. Want to come to the show? And next you know, it's like 20 bros at the show with their wives and their kids. And now you've created another part of your family.
Mhm.
So it's just a good, to me, all around um, community building tool, a way to make connections personally and professionally. Um, and then for a lot of us, thank God, I grew up in a religious family and I'm religious myself. A lot of people might not have been experienced or privy to the religious aspect of life. And then you get around bros who are preachers or who are deacons and things, and they can open that up to you. So it's. I think it has a lot of great benefits. A lot of great benefits. When I moved to Rhode Island to go to grad school, I don't know nobody in Rhode Island, but my uncle, who had been to bros forever, literally in front of me, he pulled out the bruh directory, saw a name, called the bruh, and he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell him when he get up here to call me." We drove in, moved into the apartment, called the bruh. He said, "Oh yeah, come over tonight." I was like, "Well, my mom and my homeboy here and his mom, bring them over too." Like it was like a house full of bruhs, their family and
Oh,
everything. It was
wow.
a huge, basically barbecue just for so I could meet the bros and my mom and my best friend and his mom could meet everybody, and that whole, like, they were like, "Man, whatever y'all need, man, just hit us up." So it is a good way to still feel like you're at home away from
That's man. Oh, barbecue Charlie. That's
straight
wild.
up. I'm talking about had everything, and even had like, the southern food, but they had, you know lobster and all that
Man.
stuff. And I'm like, I've never eaten this. I'm from Alabama. I don't know about no lobster. What y'all talking about? But yeah, it was great, man. And then when I met some of the because those were grad bros, and then they invited some of the undergrad bros, and we're still cool to this day. Actually, when I moved to New York, Mario, and we're Sands. He let me stay at his house
Wow.
for like 2 or 3 weeks until I like found my own place and stuff. And yeah, it's just it's a great thing. Yeah, it's just it's a great experience.
You were the ace?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. So you've done theater, accomplished that. You've done TV, you're doing film. What's your preference? What you like? What's your thing? Like where's your what still makes you itch? Like, man, I gotta do, which one?
honestly, honestly, all of it.
Okay.
To me, having a script in my hands and being able to say lines that either I wrote or someone else wrote, that's beautiful. The stage will always be like my first love,
Hmm.
um, but all of it, I love it all. I love it all, and like I said, now I've been more intentional about writing as well. So all of it in general. I heard Andre three. I love Andre 3000. I love Outkast, but Andre 3000. That's my dude. I feel like that's my homie. We don't know each other, but that's my homie. But I heard him say something one time. He was like, "If I'm not creating, I feel sick."
Mm,
I don't know if I actually feel sick, but it's something about if I'm not doing something artistic, be it performing itself or writing or reading something or watching something. Yeah, I just feel like I have to have that artistic thing moving all the time. So I can't really say which one I like more so. Um, I like them all. I honestly do
okay.
like them all. Yeah.
So now you've joined the Marvel universe. Like, what man? What man? What man? In Daredevil. Um, Tell me, you got to tell me how that came about, and the moment you found out you got the role, and where are you now? Where is it leading you? Because that's the pinnacle.
That part I don't know.
Okay.
um, one is it's. I know I said it's a blessing a lot on this podcast, but it is truly a blessing. Um, that was odd. I would say it was odd because Marvel, Disney, they're very secretive about everything.
Yes.
So I do remember my first audition. I didn't know that it was for. I think it just said Disney production or something like that. Um, and the size that I auditioned for had nothing to do with Daredevil. It was just
Okay.
some random something. Um, then it was like I got another call back, and this time he had to like sign a whole bunch of NDAs and stuff. I was like, oh, well, what is this? And then it still didn't say what it was. It was some random other thing. I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. And I had another one. um, and then my agents, when she told me that I got it, she was like, yeah, so it's this Marvel thing. They like you, so you're gonna be doing this Marvel. I was like, oh my God, what? I was like, I didn't even audition for a Marvel thing. She said, oh, you've been auditioning for it. I was like, oh, that random things that you have been. She was like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Um, so even like when I got the site, I had no idea what I was, because everything was redacted. It was literally just what I had
Oh,
to say.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I think my story is a little bit funny. Like I did it, went to set, did it. It was great. One of the coolest sets to be on. But while we were filming, the news about the strike was like already in process. And I think if I remember correctly, the day I shot my last scene, I think like 2 days later the strike actually happened. It was it
Whoa.
was something real close. Like it might have been a week, but it was like really, really, really close. Uh, so I was like, oh wow, I'm glad I got that done. And then like a month later, I read something that's like, oh, they're rearranging everything with Daredevil, and I was like, oh snap, I guess my work's been cut out of it. So I literally thought that I wasn't going to be in it because they said they had rearranged everything and everything behind the scenes was changing. And then this was it this year or last year? Last year. This I can't remember. After the quarantine and the strike, it just seemed like
Hmm.
years and months and days are the same. Um, my agent hit me back up and said they wanted to bring me back to do something else. I was like, "Yo, what? Seriously?" I was like, "I thought I was out of there." Like, no. So went back and it was extra cool because they, got to explain some of the. I would say if the storyline is 100%, they got to explain 1% of the
Mm.
storyline to me. Just the part that literally just dealt with me. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I actually found out that two of the directors that I worked with on Archive 81 um, are producers on the show on
Oh,
Daredevil. And I was
mm.
like, oh, this is cool. So yeah, so that's how I found out about everything. Literally had no idea what I was auditioning for. Um, yeah, so it's cool. It's cool. I feel like I'm just like everybody else watching, trying to see like what's going to happen and everything because I literally have no idea.
Well, the crazy thing is you have versatility because you went from a therapist to a criminal. Well, again, criminal. Like Charlie got range. Charlie got range. So what haven't you accomplished? I know you're writing now, so you're exploring that path. But what haven't you accomplished in terms of being an actor?
I don't know. I guess the big, big, big bucks. Uh,
Man, you in the Marvel universe, so hey,
um, I don't know. Playfully, but yeah, I guess that's really the only thing, man. It's cool, like to be able to, like I said, perform on stage in regional theaters, Broadway, um, TV shows, movies. Like I said, I'm writing now, teaching a little bit here and there, helping coaching. I don't know. I haven't thought about it like that before. Um, I guess my mind is kind of like how I said before. It's just like doing something artistic just gives me extra life, extra joy. Um, so honestly, I feel like just as long as I can continue to keep doing it and climbing the different rungs on the ladder to even bigger and broader platform with all of the work, that'll be the next cool thing. Um, I think the next thing, honestly, though, is getting my play produced. We're in talks um, about getting it produced. Um, so yeah, I would say that probably.
favorite role so far.
Ooh, I kind of knew you were going to ask that question, and I did not have a good answer. So I have
Yes.
three.
Yes.
I have four. No. Oh. Okay. So I would say, man, that's a hard question because I like a lot of them. So I would say two roles that were really cool. They kind of go together. Was Red Carter and Mr. Carter. Red Carter from Seven Guitars, August Wilson.
You
Um,
did. Yeah, you did do. Okay, you did do that. Okay.
yeah. So I got to be Red in Seven Guitars, and then I got to be Mister in King Headley. So that's the father and the son. So I got to
Mhm.
play father and son. So that was really cool. It is so hard, though. I guess, yeah, I would say Guy, originating Guy in Beneath His Place. That was really cool because it felt like I was adding on, which I guess in the most humblest way. I don't think about it in that way, but someone else told me it's like, yeah, you added on to the Lorraine Hansberry
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that. I was just like, yo, it's cool. I get to do this work, but yeah, I think that might be the coolest one. Yeah.
Well, I just, I think you're phenomenal. I mean,
Thank
I
you.
just even long ago, just your spirit is in the right place because it radiates, from you. So I'm so, thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It's good to catch up, but it's good to celebrate you in everything that you're doing, and um, to say, yeah, I know him. No, I know Charlie. You know Charlie. Yeah, I know Charlie. Yeah, Charlie not go back. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
But
I
but
appreciate
it's dope. Like you living out your dream, and a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to do that, and you're doing that. But you're an example. You wear the letters proudly. You represent proudly. But you represent with everything that all of our organizations were founded upon excellence. So thank you so much for being a part of the Grown and Greek podcast family.
Thank
I
you.
feel very, very, very fortunate. Where can folks see you? What's your next work? I know, Daredevil is streaming now, so we definitely got to support that. But what else? What else is next?
So
What you got?
definitely, yeah, definitely. Archive 81 on Netflix
Mhm.
is out. You can stream that anytime. Um, The Night of on HBO, stream that anytime. Daredevil, actually, Daredevil's finale
Yeah.
episode comes on tonight. So catch that. I'm looking forward to that. My play is coming up. Um, and I don't know if I can. I technically haven't signed a contract yet, so I don't know if I can talk about the thing.
Don't talk about
Uh,
it. Let's save that for part two because I'm coming back. I'm coming
bet,
back.
bet. Yes, yes. So it's a couple of things coming on down the line. Thank God for them. I haven't officially signed a contract, so can't righteously talk about them.
Right.
But yeah, God is good, man. Things are
Amen.
good. Things are coming.
Good, good, good. So where did the three stacks come from? We'll end on that. Where did three stacks come from?
So funny. So like I told you, I'm a Andre 3000 fan. I didn't call myself that. I was doing Fly, Tuskegee Airman Show by Ricardo Khan on Martha's Vineyard. And literally, as soon as I met one of my co-stars in it, he said, Charlie Three Stack. I started laughing. And I didn't have Twitter or IG at the time. And I want to say they had like just started like for real coming out. And I was like, man, if I ever get one of those days, that's gonna be my handle. And he I don't think he really ever calls me Charlie. He always say three stacks, three stacks. So I like, and Charlie Hudson III. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, that works. So that's how I got. Even now, he's once he sees this, he's gonna be like three stacks. You told the story.
I think it's very fitting. So yeah, shout out to the homie for
Rob,
doing that.
Rob Carmen Robinson. Yeah.
So follow you on social media at
Charlie 3 Stacks.
Okay.
Yes.
On all platforms, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Charlie.
Thank you. Thank y'all for having me.
It's an honor. It's a pleasure. And I am watching. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. So yeah, we'll wrap with Charlie Hudson III. And of course, make sure you are subscribing to the podcast. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All podcast platforms. Of course, you can watch full episodes on YouTube. Follow us on all social media at Grown and Greek Podcast. And if you know somebody like Charlie 3 Stacks who's just blazing trails and doing phenomenal things, make sure that you DM me on IG at Grown and Greek Podcast. Charlie Hudson III. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Aye.
You can support Grown and Greek by subscribing to the podcast, shopping our exclusive luxury accessory line, or purchasing books from the D9 Book Club by visiting our website at grownandgreekpodcast.com. Don't forget to like, comment, and share on social media at Grown and Greek Podcast. Thanks for watching.